organizations and our worldviews of organizations. Somebody in the check-in, I don't quite remember who, it was somewhere in there, somebody spoke about how our worldviews are actually strong filters, how we look at the world through lenses. We all do this, and we all have different lenses. And probably much of it is culturally programmed into us, but there might be other things too that form these lenses. So these are probably really like strong filters that we use to take in the world. So Peter Senge has this saying, he says, we don't always understand what we see, but we see what we understand, what we already understand. And to just illustrate what I mean by that is, they say that when Christopher Columbus came to to Americas, that the First Nation people couldn't see the ships, even though the ships were at the horizon. They couldn't see them because there was nothing in their brain that said ship. They didn't have a concept of ship. So it was the medicine person who actually saw the ship, saw there was something strange at the horizon without really knowing what it was, and pointed out to the others, and then they could see. This is how strong our filters are. And why I'm talking about that, our worldviews, is because we also have these strong filters when we think about organizations and organizational development and what it might be. So I am inviting you to really hold those assumptions lightly and come on an exploration together with us to see if we might think about organizations differently and what the implications of that might be. So I like to start with a little bit a mental model that organizational theorist called Edgar Schein has introduced. I'm sure many of you know this model. It's called Edgar Schein's iceberg. And this is my first slide. Looks like this. So what it says basically is that at the root of our worldviews, the thing that really determines how we look at the world are the basic assumptions that we hold. It's like core beliefs of how the world is put together. And we all have them. We are not always conscious of what they are, but we all have these basic assumptions. That's the root system of our worldview. And just to give you one example, I was traveling with our colleague Mary Alice, who is from New Zealand. In our culture, I mean just small things, in our culture, when we talk about the past, it's behind us, and the future is in front of us. For the New Zealand Maori people, the past is in front of you and the future is behind you. And I had to like twist my brain a little bit to get that. I can understand that, because you can see the past, but you can't see the future. So it makes perfect sense if you just think differently. So this is just another worldview, just a small example of a worldview. So I'm really inviting you to come on this journey with us to think about organizations as living systems. So, okay, the deepest root are the basic assumptions. On those basic assumptions, they kind of give rise to some values. These values, we all have them. They tell us what is right and wrong. They tell us in different situations how we should act, what is a good way to do things, what is a wrong way to do it. We are not either always conscious of our values. I mean, many organizations have values, value statements. And when you ask people sometimes, what are your values? Then they have to look at the board to remember. Those are not real values. Values are really something that's in you, that makes you act a certain way. So, and then finally, based on that, that's the root system. Things manifest in a certain way. Schein calls it artifacts, but it is the manifestation, how things manifest. And why this picture is called Edgar Schein's iceberg is because only this part is visible. This is what we see. And sometimes we don't even examine what the basic assumptions are behind it. And many times when we can't understand each other, it may very well be because we have different core beliefs or different basic assumptions. So sometimes you have to go and examine these to understand why things look like this. And we know this very well from religious beliefs and other things, that we manifest things differently because we have a different set of assumptions. So now comes the 5 question. Do you all know what this is?
Yep.
Anybody that doesn't know what this is? This is sometimes when you ask, when we go into the European Commission and we ask them to tell about their organization, this is how it manifests. It's called an organizational chart, organigram, it's called in the Commission. This is how organizations tend to manifest. So my question is like, if organizations manifest like this, what does it tell you about the core beliefs underneath this way of thinking or manifesting? Does anybody have any suggestions? What are the basic assumptions when things manifest like this? When we think of organizations like this?
People are replaceable. Sorry.
That people need to be constantly watched, if not they won't get their work done.
So there's an element of control.
Control.
Yeah? You had something?
People are replaceable. They're filling a role, a structure. It's
Yeah.
the philosophy of bureaucracy.
The different boxes have different functions and can be replaced, you know?
Well, I mean, the people in that box.
Yeah.
One day it's Jill, and tomorrow it's Sarah, but she's still the administrator,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's just her job.
Yeah. Good. Any other assumptions that are beneath?
It has to be structured.
Structured, yes.
In a way.
Yeah.
And there is hierarchy.
Yeah. There's hierarchy. So it's very clear where leadership is